Yes, I think we are very much live. So hope everybody, apart from Craig Pawson, has had a really, really good Sunday. But I will not talk to you about Sunderland's defeat to Fulham, other than Craig Pawson is a corrupted official. But anyway, let's move on from that. Of course, Annie will probably be as happy as I am with football this weekend, but Stephan, I imagine, will be feeling a lot happier. Although I would admit it was quite funny when Stephan was giving it the big one towards Annie in the group chat in midweek, going and then of course karma happens and Bristol City get a point. So and Stephan's like, I don't know what you're talking about. You must be confusing me with somebody else, lads. How are you both doing anyway? Certainly in Annie's case, if we remove football from the equation before we have to talk about it.
Crap.
Sorry to hear your personal life's not going great.
Yeah, my personal life is my Bristol City life. Terrible. Apart from the football, relatively productive weekend, uni work and whatnot. But yeah, if we take the football into account, I've had less than satisfactory weekend.
Yeah, pretty much.
Are we allowed to blow raspberries on the internet?
Yeah, you can do if you want. Wait, the one you just go. Well, yesterday for Bristol City as well as Sunderland today was effing.
All right.
There you go. Now, Stephan, I can imagine but for you, yesterday was not. It was.
No, yesterday was good, and today, to my surprise, was even better.
Yeah, what was the scores in the end?
It was Celtic 1, Hibs 2.
Oh, really?
Fair play.
Yeah.
That's really good. What was the Livingston Rangers score out of interest?
2-2.
Right, so Hearts had a brilliant weekend then.
Rangers cannot take advantage of it when teams drop points, can they?
Put it this way, lads. My caterer tonight, Helen, she's a Hearts fan, and she's cock a hoop now.
The one time she'd be happy that Hibs win a game as a Hearts fan.
Well, it's not that. It's with the points gap.
No, I know. I'm just saying, yeah. It's just quite. I'm saying it's one of the rare occasions that, as a Hearts fan, she'll be happy that Hibs won.
Yeah, because next week Rangers and Celtic play each other, so one of them's guaranteed to
I can't wait for that.
Points.
I love the Old Firm. I absolutely adore the Old Firm. But yeah, let's get on to the Championship.
Yes.
So bear in mind, guys, I haven't had much time to prepare. I've been out all day because Sunderland were playing today. But let's get to the top. Let's get to today's game. Normally, I'll go in chronological order, but I think it's important to start with this game, the Steel City Derby. So now I'm hoping at least one of you two watched the full game. I watched bits and pieces of it, but I didn't see the full thing. Actually, I'll tell you, I saw most of the first half. I think I might have saw the whole first half, and I saw bits of the second. Obviously, the main story from today is Sheffield Wednesday. It was inevitable, but they are now officially relegated to League One. Annie, I can imagine if you're a Sheffield Wednesday fan, although you knew it was coming, if you had to pick one game for it not to be officially confirmed, I think today probably would have been top of the list.
At Bramall Lane as well.
And I feel for them. It's horrible, isn't it, for them a lot?
Oh, that is.
By the way, sorry, fair play to every Sheffield Wednesday fan who went today, by the way.
Just unbelievable, those Wednesdays.
I think they're either incredibly loyal or incredibly insane or a mixture of the two. Probably
the latter. No, that was the two. I thought Wednesday played quite well second half. Obviously, the 10 men factor comes into it, and they just have a little bit of possession after 2-0. The red card for Calvin Phillips. I mean, that's just a ludicrous sort of moment from Phillips, just leaving his foot in there, follow through on him. When Charlie McNeil scores a lovely goal, it's a fantastic finish. And Wednesday have a lot more of the ball, get the ball down the flanks, trying to put balls into the box, have a lot more possession. Sheffield United sort of hemmed in their own box, edge of their own box, but they pulled control back. United even with 10. So I thought Wednesday played okay overall. I thought they were relatively competitive. There was so many frustrating moments for Sheffield Wednesday in the first half where they had a lot of set pieces. They had about, I think, more than a handful of set pieces where there was long throw-ins, free kicks, corners, and from the free kicks in particular, they always found themselves offside and just in frustrating situations. And when you're an underdog, such a big underdog in a game, and you're hampering yourself in that way, and you go 1-0 down after 2 minutes, it's just annoying, isn't it? So Look, and I think for the first goal, it's Ndala who plays the ball right across, gives the ball away, and then he's the one playing, I think, Patrick Bamford miles onside. And if he was sort of in line with the rest of the Wednesday defence, I think Bamford would have been offside. But because he's slow to react and isn't quite switched on, he plays Bamford offside onside, and you go 1-0 down, a minute and a half or whatever it is. It is such a mountain to climb after that
it is.
at Bramall Lane, where United have been so good, and Sheffield United weren't particularly good today. They weren't, at their blistering best. They weren't knocking the ball about. Hamer wasn't getting involved in everything. No, there was O'Hare, but they just did enough. And unfortunately, that's Sheffield Wednesday season in a nutshell, where many teams have played against them and they've not been unbelievable. And Wednesday have had opportunities to go and stick points on the board, and they just can't take advantage of it. So yeah, again, as you mentioned, big story is Wednesday relegated officially. It was coming, earliest relegation in Championship history, but overall, it's just a case of this is just the final nail in what has been the most put together coffin in football championship football history.
Yeah.
Just nasty, just nasty. And to be fair, at the end of the game, the Wednesday fans took it in good spirits or joined in the "you're going down" or whatever it was. The United fans started singing against them and sort of took it all in good faith. And yeah, even if they did find an equaliser, that wouldn't have been enough, and they still would have been relegated. But that would have been some sort of solace. And I think it's the first time they've scored in a Steel City derby in a little while as well, which is
something like that. Yeah,
more of an indictment to how dominant United have been in this fixture, even when Sheffield Wednesday have been sort of half competent and not completely beleaguered. But horrible for Sheffield Wednesday, horrible season. We knew League One was coming a long time ago, but to happen at Bramall Lane, I suppose, is just a horrible way to end it.
Absolutely. Obviously, I mean, their fans have been through the absolute ringer, and I do know that. Obviously, we've exercised this to death, but I think the main cause, I'm interested to know what you think, Stephan, here. I think the main cause of this season, as horrible as today would be, I think Sheffield Wednesday fans obviously knew it was coming. I think maybe it's not a positive, really. But I suppose the one thing is, right, it's officially relegation confirmed now. And I think the main bit over the next few months, even though they have to get through another 13 games to get through, is the fact that the next season they need to get the ownership situation sorted, get an owner who actually wants to take them forward and rebuild again in League One.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I've been saying that for a few weeks on the Saturday Show podcast. But yeah, you've been relegated. Your rivals. It's bloody horrible. I mean, but they knew this day was coming. They just didn't want it to happen today. Obviously, for obvious reasons. But what we need to do now is we need to get everything sorted off the field in the course season. Finish this season out as best they can, because you don't want to go down in a complete whimper, even though it's looking like that. We're virtually playing the under 21 squad every other week. But what we need to do after this season is done is get everything sorted out off the pitch and then rebuild for however long it may be in the third tier of English football. Now, you know yourself, Michael, how horrible it is to go to third tier.
Do I? I have no idea what you're talking about, mate.
Yes, you do. You know.
I think quickly, Nathan. I think Nathan's going to have a pretty good handle on it at the moment on what League One's like. Spoiler: it's horrible. But yeah, go on.
It's definitely horrible, and they'll just want to be down for the season if they can manage it, and straight back up. But what we need the owners to do that is invest in playing staff capable of getting them out of League One at the first attempt, because for a club like Sheffield Wednesday to be in League One with all their history behind everything that's happened over the years, it's horrible, it's not right. And if Chanziri had just given up the ghost,
yeah, Yeah, I mean,
it could have been so much different, to be honest with you.
yeah, I think the big thing now is they sort of really, like you said, reset it, go again. I think even next season, even if next season was like I mean, obviously it's hard to know because obviously you don't know what the owner's going to be, what the state of the squad's going to be, what the state of the non-playing staff's going to be. The main thing is we need to get an owner that's willing to invest and able to get it running like a club again. Because I'm pretty sure Sheffield Wednesday fans, even in League One, I'd imagine a number of them would probably take just a boring old season. Well, maybe obviously even if they're like just in the playoffs, not much has happened or whatever else it is, and just not have or at least have not have the off the pitch stuff dominate the headlines. Because that's ultimately, as a fan, what you want. You want to be enthralled by what's going on the pitch. So we'll wait and see. Yeah, obviously, I know a couple of Sheffield Wednesday fans, and yeah, it's horrible for them. So, but yeah, on to Sheffield United though quickly because I want to, because we obviously have to mention them, which is only fair. There's two sides to every game. And Andy, I want to know what you think, right? So I think in the first half, obviously, I think was it 2-0 inside 20 minutes? I think it was, or even 15 minutes. Did Patrick Bamford score twice, or did he just get the first one? No, Burrows. I realised as I said it. For 45 points, 6 points off Wrexham. Stephan's probably not going to want me to ask this question, but I keep going flipping back and forth on it. But I've said all along that Sheffield United, for me, have the squad to challenge for the playoffs. Can they challenge? I mean, I know there's a lot of traffic ahead of them, but 6 points with a quarter of the season to go. They need to be consistent, mind. Well, I know you don't want them to, Stephan, but that's why I'm asking that and not you.
There are a couple of points off the top half, aren't there?
Give me a minute. I'll check that.
So,
yeah, they are.
So it's difficult because now they've got to go and play Coventry at home, which is not an easy fixture at all. Obviously, top of the league. I don't know. I'd still reserve judgment maybe for another few games. I think we can all agree they've got the quality to do pull off a run like that. I think we do, but it's just the mess they were in at the start of the season. That they looked like they were going to do it under. They looked like they were going to propel themselves out of it, and then just hit a stumbling block. Okay, is a Steel City derby with victory, doing the double over your rivals. Is that going to be the catalyst now going on a huge run? And they're going to have to be nearly perfect, really, to get in, aren't they? Because of the traffic. The points gap is 6, yes. It's not huge. It's 2 games, right? 2 sort of swings at it. But it's just in the longer term and the traffic. Are Sheffield United consistent enough? I think they've got squad quality. I think they've got the manager, but I don't know. I'd just reserve judgment for a little wee while. I
think for me with Sheffield United, I think even if you want to be kind, I mean, what's the points gap that usually gets you in the top 6? Something like 74, 75 points. It gets you 6th. I mean, so but even if you're going to be kind to Sheffield United and say it's going to be around 70, that still requires them to get 25 points from their remaining games. So yeah, it's going to be a challenge. I think they've got the quality to challenge, but yeah, I think the consistency factor is kind of like what I would question as well. I think Ruben Sayers, I mean, given the start the season had after about 6 games, there was talk about relegation. So we'll wait and see. But yeah, commiserations to Sheffield Wednesday, and we'll see what happens with Sheffield United when they play Coventry and the games coming up after that. Let's move on. Let's stick with the relegation battle for the time being. So let's go to Friday night's game. Stephan, Ewood Park. Paul Heckingbottom was not happy with Preston's performance, but let's let out an understatement. He said he had to remove himself from the squad or from the dressing room pretty much on Sky afterwards.
You can say that again.
Yeah, just a bit. All right, then. Paul Heckingbottom said on Sky Sports after the game that he was going to remove himself from the dressing room. No, he did. But I can imagine Stephan was probably happy with this result. But I must admit, Michael O'Neill's making an impact at the start. Obviously, short-term manager bounce. We know this script happens loads of times. But I've got to be fair. The limbs at the end for Blackburn's winner.
Yeah.
Especially against their rivals. I mean, but how crucial is that for Blackburn?
Oh, it's very crucial. And yes, I was rather cock-a-hoop because most of the top 6, bar one, and we know who that was. We'll come on to them later.
Well, Coventry City. Yeah, we know they won.
Well, I said, well, all right, bar two then.
Yeah, I know what you meant. Yeah,
Coventry
Go on.
and Birmingham. So I was pretty cock-a-hoop of the results that
Watford won.
needed to go my way. But going back to the derby on Friday night, what a game! Certainly what a last 5 minutes in injury time, because the way that cross came in and the way he stretched to get his head on it, I was like, how did you
Placement
do
of the
that?
header as well.
Have you got like an invisible step ladder or something? Because realistically, by physics, he shouldn't have got to that. But it was a great result for Blackburn, and I can see Mike O'Neill keeping them safe, actually. I can see him getting them out of where we are and maybe climbing to about 15th, 16th in the table.
I suspect Blackburn fans would be cock-a-hoot with that at the moment. Annie, what do you make of Preston? Because I thought they were from what I did watch, I thought they were very lacklustre, certainly second half.
Yeah.
Just quickly on Rovers first, 9 points in 4 games. I mean, that's
amazing.
in a relegation
points
battle.
a game.
That's like gold dust, isn't it? So
yeah,
brilliant from them. Michael has an impact. North End. I don't know what to think of Preston. I thought they were
right. Let's
back.
move on to the next game then. All right then. So
I thought they were back after they drew Ipswich and beat Pompey, and I thought, here's the Preston, hard to beat, clean sheet at home again at Deepdale, and then they go and sort of not stink it out, just lose their way again a little bit. I don't know. I'm struggling. I'm probably saying they're not good enough for the top 6. I put them in a similar category to us, and I'll talk about us in a minute later on. Sorry, but I'd put them in a similar sort of bracket. I think we're neck and neck in the league table as well, which is ironic again. But yeah, I'd put them. Yeah, maybe close points wise, maybe a little bit of traffic in between them, but just not quite good enough to get in there. I think that's what I'd say about North End. And I understand Heckingbottom's frustrations. I mean, losing a game like that in the 90th minute to Yuki Hayashi, who is a great finisher, but losing a header like that in the 90th minute to Yuki Hayashi, I mean, when a point would have been okay for Preston, wouldn't it? I mean, point away. But I mean, it's not unbelievable, but it's okay. It keeps you taking along to point on the road. It's a clean sheet, but to lose like that was. I'd say that's nasty. That's horrible for Heckingbottom. I think for Paul Heckingbottom that would have really stung.
Yeah, I think it would have done as well.
He was raging, and I've not seen him that raging since he lost to Hearts in the Edinburgh Derby. He was raging on Friday night, and no wonder he took himself out of the dressing room, because you could see how angry he was getting on the touchline during that game.
Yeah, not a surprise in the slightest. I think for Preston, I've said before, I always keep, when it comes to Preston, I keep harping back to the comment Tim Sherwood made about, and I can't believe I'm quoting Tim Sherwood of all people here, but basically when he made the comment about Preston so outperforming their expected goals and attacking data and stuff like that, and it always got me thinking, Preston will probably be more than all right to be top half, but I don't know whether Preston will have the consistency to get playoffs. So I think that's one less team Stephan will probably be worried about in the race for 6th place. So we'll see. We're going to be so happy. But yeah, so anyway, a crucial win for Blackburn. It takes them, let me see if I get this right. I think they're 5 points above Andy's gone. I believe they're 5 points above the relegation zone, because I remember they made a hoo-ha about it being 6 points, but then Leicester got a point yesterday. So I think it's 5 points. I could be wrong on that. But either way. So that was obviously huge for Preston. Oh, and he is now back. But no, I think Blackburn have got 5 points above the bottom 3 now, which is massive for them. One of you two can check if I've got that completely messed up, but I don't think I have.
I'll tell you, because I've got the...
Yeah, because on the commentary, as I said, they said that it was 6 points, but Leicester got a point. So it should be 5.
It is 5, yeah.
Hey, I'm not crap at maths. There we go. That's all right then.
No, it's
so,
5.
Yeah, so fair play to Michael O'Neill, making a big impact, and I think that's what Blackburn needed at the minute. Let's move on to another game in the relegation zone. Another team that's in the relegation zone, that if the season ended right now would be going down, but obviously they're only 1 point off 21st, I believe. Leicester City. So, who would have thought, by the way, at the start of the season, you were saying, oh yeah, Leicester City, relegation battle. All right.
Not a
as a Celtic
chance.
gaming team, but there you go. What do you both make of this one? Stoke 2, Leicester 2. Now, from what I did hear of this, and from what I did see on the EFL highlights, Stoke missed a fair few good chances in this first half, and Leicester were probably lucky, were lucky to still be in the game at half-time. Then they scored 2 goals in the second half, including a fantastic second one from Harry Winks, I think it is, who gets a brilliant second goal. And then, of course, in typical, what Ant would probably describe as typical Leicester fashion, they were 2-1 up, could have been a massive win, and then they dropped 2 points at the end. Andy, let's go to you first. How do you assess this point? Because on the surface, I don't think that's a bad point for them, but obviously when you're 2-1 up going into the 89th minute, but then also the first half, they were terrible. So how do you assess it?
Yeah, I think it's Seko who misses a huge chance, literally like a
Hits
header.
the woodwork, doesn't he?
No.
I'm sure there was a highlight where Leicester hit the woodwork twice in the space of about a minute.
That was right at the end. That was right at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was like the last kick of the game. I was talking about Stoke, where in the first half, I think at 1-0.
Oh, right. Yes, I know what you mean now.
The central midfielder literally misses an open goal from a header. So game state changes completely then if that goes in, but it doesn't. So it didn't. Whatever, right? But yeah, it's a good good enough start, I suppose, for Rowett, who's now the new Leicester manager, obviously, Gary Rowett, first game in charge of him.
We'll talk about that in a minute.
And how ironic is it that Gary Rowett is now in a relegation battle with Oxford, which is just typical. And his first game is away at Stoke, who are obviously his former team.
The Gary Rowett derby.
Yeah. So I'd say that's an okay enough point. But I think there'll be a few things Rowett will not be happy with in terms of defensive wise. I mean, how Ben Wilmot has scored from a header from a corner in literally the first minute is something I don't think you'll be seeing that from a Gary Rowett Leicester team many times this season. Put it that way. But no, that's an okay enough point for Leicester. But Stoke's form has been dreadful. The 16th.
Nosedive now, hasn't it?
The 16th. And I remember.
Do you reckon Mark Robbins went, no, hang on, we're too far up the table near the playoffs. Let's just gradually go back down to 16th, where we've been all pretty much since they started being in the championship.
This is not gradual, Michael. This is radical. This is like, seriously, they've just gone. They had a really good start. They were sort of in the top 2 conversation, weren't they? December time. Remember they played Coventry?
At the very least, a top 6 one, like a serious one.
Yeah. They were they played Coventry in a head-to-head. They lost that head-to-head. Ephron Mason-Clark scored a bicycle kick.
Yeah.
And then ever since then, they've gone like that. And they had a little splurge, and then it's gone seriously back down. And obviously losing Johansson and then proceeding to sign Bazunu, and then him getting injured hasn't helped. Aaron Cresswell, not nice assist, and could have scored as well. So look, I think Stoke are just doing Stoke things where they're back into 16th. That's their sweet little home, isn't it, in the Championship, 16th. And what we thought was definitely going to be a top half finish doesn't look like that's going to be happening either. No. So it's just so annoying with Stoke because they've got good players, and we said it at the start when we said it when they were having that good run. Baker, Manhurst, Sorba Thomas, Divin Mabama, Victor Johansson, Aaron Cresswell, Ben Wilmot, Ashley Phillips. They had some cracking players in there who were performing well, and it's just all gone to pot. They're basically just taken all and chucked into a big dumpster fire. It's all gone. But for Leicester, that's a good enough point, I suppose. It's not the worst start in the world for Rowett.
What about for you two in the appointment of Gary Rowett then? Because I can imagine at the start of the calendar year even, I don't think anyone would have expected Gary Rowett to be leaving Oxford, then going to Leicester. I certainly didn't expect it. I think it's a solid. I'll quickly give my thoughts. I think it's a solid. I think it's an appointment that, dare I say, will keep Leicester up. I think. I said that about Oxford, though, so we'll see what happens there. But I think the difference is he's got much better players to work with. I feel like at Oxford, he probably had a squad that was probably more full of heart than what this Leicester team has been this season, but just isn't good enough, in my opinion. Whereas this time, I think it's the opposite way around. I think he's got a team that's easily more than good enough to stay up. It's just a question of whether they're willing to battle. And I suppose, to be fair, they did show the heart to be able to come back and get in front from after a very, very shocking first half. But yeah, I mean, Bell, by the way, mentioned Wilmot for look at his second goal. It's a free run into the box.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I think Gary Rowett himself, like we talked about Paul Heckenbottom being fuming, I think Gary Rowett would be livid at that. I certainly would be if I was him. But, Stephan, what do you make about the appointment of Gary Rowett? I think it's one that for the here and now, it could be a one that Leicester might need just to make sure they stay up.
Yeah, I mean, if it's to get you through to the end of the season and keep you in the division, fair enough. Now, on the Saturday shows, we had Mr. I Think Hearts Playing Purple at Leicester Until I Die. We had Mr. Chris.
Shots fired there, Mr. Twister Tate.
We had Mr. Chris on last week, and he was saying, funnily enough, that he doesn't think Rowett would be a good long-term appointment, but to get you through to the end of the season, he is someone that knows the division, that knows the championship. I think he's virtually managed every team in the division anyway, if not about 70% of them. And he knows how to work with players that are struggling for confidence and bits of form. So, in the short term, yes, it's a good appointment. In the long term, if you want to be ambitious and try and reclimb the table, then you're going to need somebody better than Gary Rowett, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that. I think for a club like Leicester in the Championship as well, I think they will be looking for better longer term. But for now, I think, I don't know what you think, Annie. I'm guessing it's probably the same thought process.
It's
I think
a short-term fix, a short-term plaster fix.
Yeah,
really,
I suspect Annie's camera's frozen here, unless he's doing a very, very long pause in that position and not moving. But yeah, I'll ask him his opinion a bit once he gets that sorted. But yeah, for me, I think that's a fair assessment from what Chris said. Solid enough short-term appointment. Longer term, I think you probably will want better. Yeah. Let me quickly see if I can go through some of the next games. Let's go on. Let's go on. We'll keep with the theme of the relegation battle for the moment, and then we'll move towards the top end of the table. Yeah. I'll tell you what. Let's go for one of the most impressive results the result that caught me quite off guard a little bit, but very impressive for this away side to win. Millwall 1, Portsmouth 3. Now I can imagine this is another result that you were probably very, very happy with, but taking out the selfish side for you with Wrexham, I think Pompey deserve a lot of credit for going to the Den. And by the way, they responded from the defeat to Sheffield United last week by winning at Charlton, which was the game in hand, and then they've gone and won away at Millwall. So they've got 6 points from 2 away games. But particularly on this one, to go to a team that is at the very least looking to consolidate a top 6 finish at home, maybe even possibly put an outside bet of top 2, even though I think it's quite unlikely. But they are there. That is a phenomenal result for Portsmouth, I think. Especially, by the way, when they conceded at 2-0 and then scored straight away to make it 3-1 again. I think that's really impressive for John Messino and Portsmouth.
For John Messino said to go and do that at a club we know that this season have made the Den a fortress, and teams find it very difficult to go there and get a point, let alone 3 points. For Portsmouth to go and do what we did, the way they played there was they played out their skins. Let's be completely honest. They played out their skins, and they thoroughly deserved that 3-1 victory. What I've seen on the NFL highlights show, they thoroughly deserved that. I'm not saying that Millwall weren't in the game, because they were for bits of it, but they clearly weren't at the races on Saturday. We know the old saying, every team can have an off day, and it was just unfortunate that this week Millwall were just got cold, I think. They weren't expecting Portsmouth to come and play the way they did, I think, as well. I think that surprised them, and I think it caught them cold.
Yeah, I would say that's about right. But I think for Millwall, I think with Alex Neil, I think they know what they're doing. They'll bounce back, and I would still make Millwall.
Back, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think this will derail Millwall's season, or it shouldn't
No.
anyway. I don't think it'll derail Millwall's season by any stretch of the imagination. I still think they're a strong bet to finish in the playoffs because of who they've got as manager, but or head coach rather. But for Portsmouth, I think the story rightly belongs to Portsmouth. I think it's a very impressive result, and I've said all along that I thought Portsmouth's home form was what could decide them staying up again. But at the minute, it might look like their away form. We'll wait and see. I think obviously winning every away game isn't sustainable, but they'll know that. I'm sure they won't need me to tell them that. But I think Portsmouth, like I said, just steadily get enough points to keep yourselves above water, and we'll see what goes from there. But as far as that result is concerned, I think they deserve an immense amount of credit for it. So very, very impressive for them. Let's move on to St Mary's. Southampton won, Charlton won. Now, basically, this is another derby, technically, the Nathan Jones derby, because obviously Nathan Jones was at Southampton for a step.
How many derby names have you made up this season? We need to try and...
And he was doing the same thing last week. The Wrexham v Sunderland, if we played each other in the FA Cup. The George Dobson derby, the Callum Doyle derby, the Nathan Broadhead derby, the Phil Parkinson derby, the streaming service derby, everything, I mean, you did get a Premier League side in the next round, it's just not us. So, that's got to be on TV, sure. Well, actually, every game's on TV, isn't it? But that's got to be one of the ties of the round. Yeah. But anyway, this isn't about the FA Cup. This is about the Championship. So anyway, but I think Ross Stewart opened the scoring for Southampton with a fantastic header as he kind of put his head backwards as he's going for it. And I've said all along with Ross Stewart, obviously he was at Sunderland for a few years ago. Yep. For me, I've always said Ross Stewart at Championship level is a phenomenal striker if you keep him fit. Not just for the goals, but for his all general hold-up play. If he's been at Southampton when playing, what he was like for us when he was fully fit. But yeah, for me, obviously it was a really good header. And then Charlton, of course, get an equaliser later on in the second half. And for me, I think that I've said all along, I think Charlton, it's a good way to respond to losing to Portsmouth in midweek at home, because I think that's a really poor result from a Charlton perspective. But yeah. I think for me, it's all about Charlton. I mean, Southampton, of course. I'll ask you about Southampton in a minute, but I'll say about Charlton. I think Charlton need to just get used to taking points away again, and actually start getting. Even if say you got a draw, then a loss, then a win, then a draw, then a loss, then win, draw, whatever. If you had a bit of, if you take points every 2-3 games, that might probably be enough to keep them up in the Championship. And they're still obviously they're not safe by any means, but I think Nathan Jones will be making them aware of that. But I think it's a really solid point, even if obviously Southampton did miss some chances. But I think Charlton, I think it's a really good result for Charlton to help keep them up. But I'll ask you about Southampton here, Stephan. Do you think, because I think Southampton, and this is how mental the Championship's been, and again, you probably aren't going to want to hear this, but given how gash Southampton have been for a lot of every promoted club bar Ipswich, every parachute club bar Ipswich has been, Southampton haven't been great, and yet all of a sudden they're only a few points off 6th.
I know, it's a crazy season, it's a crazy Championship, and if Southampton had won yesterday, we'd be even closer to the top 6. I think because they've had a bit of a mini resurgence over the last couple of weeks, I think they could, if they keep playing the way they're playing and scrapping for points and getting victories at home and points away, they could easily be in with the top 6 now. And that would be some achievement considering where they started their season. Pretty much in the bottom half. Pretty much odds on for... they were looking at relegation places under Will Still. And I think with the new boss coming in, obviously we've had that bounce, and we had a bit of a lull, but now we seem to be bouncing back. And but my worry is, if Southampton did manage to get promoted, are we going to do an orange and go up and down for about 2 or 3 seasons? Because for a while it was just, you could call him a yo-yo club, for example. We could be hot, it could be cold, but on the whole, I think we won't be disheartened with that point, but we'll certainly be frustrated that we couldn't turn it into 3.
Absolutely,
Because
especially, yeah.
reason being is Charlton's goal was so preventable. I think the goalie got a hand to it, but it just sort of trickled past them and went into the net. So a preventable goal, but I think Charlton will be the happier team, certainly with the point. But I think Southampton will be frustrated that we couldn't turn it into 3.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Charlton definitely will be the happier of the two. And I think I want to quickly mention the quote Nathan Jones made that was highlighted when it was something like, I can't say what I really think about my time here, otherwise I'll get into trouble. So it was nice to see the grass or whatever it was. It was something along those lines. And it was I have to go and research it because I might be paraphrasing there. But yeah, that was quite amusing. That's the type of fiery Nathan Jones character that we know he is. But yes, I agree with you. I think, obviously, yeah, Charlton will definitely be the happier of the two. I think if Southampton missed the playoffs, it'll be games like that they'll probably look back on and go, those are games we need to be turning into 3 points rather than 1. And of course they didn't, especially being at home as well. I think it's a bit different if it's at the Valley, but I think at home you need to be winning that, I think. So, but yes, no doubt Charlton will be significantly happier, I think, of the two teams with that result. Yeah. Let's move on. Sorry, go on, unless you have something to say.
No, I was just going to say good evening to Michael. Good evening, Michael Brown. And he's actually put a rather interesting comment just before we move on.
Go on then.
Michael, your namesake has said that apparently Leicester City are appealing against their 6-point deduction. And if they
yes, I did hear about this.
They could be hit with a further point deduction, which, well, let's be honest, if they were hit with a further point deduction, it could be curtains for them this season.
I would say then, quickly on that, they must have some confidence that this will go well if they're risking a further points deduction for that. But I don't know. We'll wait and see. I'll quickly go back on to Leicester, because obviously while Annie must have had some technical problems, we were just saying before, like, they were literally, your camera was looking like
we're still on Leicester, are we?
No, well, actually, we talked about Millwall, Portsmouth, and Southampton, Charlton when you were off.
Okay.
But it was just that your positioning was quite funny because you looked like you were looking down. I thought either your screen's frozen or you're doing the most incredible position and pose ever without moving, and that would have been so impressive of you. But that would have been amusing. But yeah, so we were basically saying on Leicester, obviously, I was going to ask your opinion, what your thoughts are on Leicester appointing Gary Rowett. So basically, the consensus that Stephan said, and I think what Chris said on the Saturday show yesterday, which is what I'd say as well, is long term for Leicester, probably one better. For right now, not a bad appointment to keep them up.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. If you look at the trend at Oxford, it was short term, worked fine, and in a high tide season as well. Remember last season, Luton went down with 49 potentially. So they went down with a large points tally, and there was a lot of teams cluster down there, and Oxford managed to get out of trouble with a couple of games to go. So he did really well. Went on 2 unbelievable long runs where they were I think they're the best team in the league. Oxford was certainly up there. And then that was sandwiched in between a pretty terrible run, but we can talk about that. But yeah, I think short term, if he gets points on the board quickly, it's a good appointment. But in the longer term, as shown by his Oxford tenure this season, I suppose the caveat there is Oxford aren't the biggest championship club, and there's no disrespect to Oxford but you naturally expect them to be sort of down near the bottom of the division in that sort of area anyway. But I think the performances were nowhere near it from an Oxford perspective. So I think it was probably the right decision for Rowett to leave there in Oxford to make that particular change. But no, I think this is a good appointment. In the short term, I'd agree with everything that's been said. Don't know why I'm still waffling. Short term, good. Long term, bad. Probably not, but not bad. Maybe not the right guy.
Yeah, no, I get it. That's more than fair enough. That's pretty much what we've pretty much all in agreement in the same consensus. Yeah, so obviously we had Millwall 1, Portsmouth 3, right? Okay, yeah, right. Let's move on to Carrow Road, because obviously we'll see if the teams near the top at the end. Obviously there's West Brom and Oxford to talk about down the bottom, but obviously they're playing teams near the top. Let's go Norwich 1, Birmingham 2. We'll see if, so yeah, Annie, I'll go with you. Yeah, you were quite keen last week. Obviously we were talking about Birmingham's form starting to rise quite a bit, and that's a pretty good result, I think, considering that Norwich have really improved a lot as of late. So I think got to give them all the plaudits for that, even though Stephan's probably inwardly cursing Norwich for not getting something.
We talked a lot about Birmingham's away form as well, in terms of if they just start turning away, start winning some games away from home. That's one way to start. I mean, they were brilliant first half. Blues could have scored more. Second half, James Beadle did come up to Norwich's to Birmingham's answers. He did answer those, and he did stop Norwich at a couple of a couple of points. Norwich at the post, Mavatori, I think, at the post. But Carlos Vicente looks like he is some sort of championship cheat code. That guy is racking up the numbers, and he's been there a couple of games, and he's that looks like an unbelievably good signing. And you have to understand, Blues in January signed 3 or 4 players: Kyle Wagner, John Solis, August Prisk, and Carlos Vicente. That's 4, and they all started yesterday. And they've basically sort of molded the team again, and they've changed it again. And that League One team that came up, that was refined in the summer quite significantly, has once again been refined in January, and they're going for it again. And Birmingham's longer term form is really, really good. It is like definitely top 6 worthy. So yeah, that is one way to put out the statement of we're here to stay. Better watch out the rest of the division. They're 7th now. They're in a top six battle for sure. They're right in the mix of it. And how ironic is it now that we're talking about Wrexham in 6th and Birmingham in 7th. So yeah, what a win for Birmingham. And I think for Norwich, from just quickly on that perspective, I think the margin for error for them, as I said about Sheffield United, was very, very low. And maybe that's just killed the top 6 push, possibly. Watch them now go in that win their next 4 games, and they're like 3 points on the top.
We'll see. We'll see. Stranger things have happened.
But I just think there was so little margin for error against a side that's also chasing the top 6. Maybe they needed to get something from the game. Still, Philippe Clement's done an unbelievable job going in there, picking up the mess that he inherited from a certain someone. I think he's done a fantastic job.
Just quickly, actually, I want to ask both your thoughts on this from Norwich, because you probably did see that the Josh Sargent saga, try saying that 5 times quickly, looks like it is coming to an end, because unless it's been confirmed today and I've not seen it, basically he's going to Toronto, and it looks like that is edging ever closer. Now, I can't imagine that. I think if you had said to Norwich fans at the start of the season, oh yeah, you won't miss Josh Sargent when he goes, you'd be like, well, that's a load of nonsense. But yeah, obviously, I won't get both your thoughts on this. I think with Josh Sargent, he, for me, has let himself down a lot and let the club down and everything. And let's not forget, this isn't just someone who came in, had one good season and didn't have much of a relationship with the fans. He was apparently very big on a relationship and legacy with Norwich City fans. And for me, he's tarnished that heavily. And I think, I get it, there's obviously players that have done that before, and it's a shame, really, when a player's like, oh, your best chance to get a move? Oh, just refuse to play. You know, just don't bother to play. Just don't turn up for work, effectively. But I'll start with you, Stephan. What do you make about the Josh Sargent saga? I think from Norwich's point of view, I think it's probably good that it's coming to an end, but I think it's a really sad and bad way for it to end on Josh Sargent's behalf.
Well, it is good that it's come to an end because Norwich fans will finally get some closure as to what's been happening in the last few weeks in the background. But I think if you remember the Payet situation at West Ham,
Yeah.
when he had such a good rapport with fans and everything, he was on the side of the buildings. Murals and everything were torn down after he decided to down tools. Now, I'm not saying Josh Sargent is as big as Payet, but if you're talking about reputation and things with fans and wanting to create a legacy at your club, then yeah, he was pretty big in that sense, and he's tarnished that in my eyes. And I think he needs to, even though he's got his move to Toronto, I think he needs to take a good look at himself in the way that he's handled this whole situation. Now, you're telling me he can't have been guided by an agent because, nah, I just don't buy this. Players are guided by agent saga to...
They're still capable of making their own decisions.
Exactly. He still has a brain in his head. He knows what he wants to do. He knows how he wants to function as a professional. And I think that in this day and age, players are just getting their own way too much, whether it be through posts we see on social media or posts they're posting on social media. Something needs to be done about this because the way players are acting, especially in this season, is just ridiculous.
I thought you were going to do the Mick McCarthy meme there and go, it can't carry on like this. It can. Apparently, it's just become iconic at this point. Annie, is there what are your thoughts on the Josh Sargent situation? It looks like it's about to close, if it hasn't already.
I think Norwich have done quite well out of this situation. 20 million, I think, is
something like that. Yeah,
something like that, which is
for someone who's not been playing for a couple of months as well. You know.
Yeah, not bad, is it? So I suppose they've done okay from the situation, actually, Norwich. And obviously they're at the moment not missing him because Makama, who is injured right now, which I suppose is not ideal, but Mama Torre's come in and has been brilliant. So I suppose they sort of part ways and handshakes and see you later, I guess. But no, that's a real bad way to end it, I suppose. I do understand from the fans' perspective, from Norwich fans' perspective, how it does look. But from a Josh Sargent perspective, you're looking at it and it's a chance to go back closer to home. Obviously, Toronto is in Canada. If you haven't done any form of geography, you don't know where Toronto is. It's in Canada. It's not in the USA. So it's not exactly, I don't know where Josh Sargent is from, actually. But it's not next to home. It's like going up to Edinburgh when I say, oh, I'm going home to Bristol. It's not quite the same. But it's not quite the same. But
just opposite ends, you know.
Close enough, I suppose. But no, it's a shame how it's ended. But for Sargent, if I don't know, does a move to the MLS help his chances of making the World Cup squad? I don't know. Ask Pochettino, I suppose, but
I'm not convinced it does personally, unless he scores like 20 goals in the first few months of the season, which is pretty unlikely. But you never know.
Yeah, and that starts in 2 weeks' time as well, doesn't it? The MLS. So I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it, to be honest. I understand it from Sargent's perspective. It's a move closer to home. Even if it is still a little bit far away, but I also understand Norwich fans feeling aggrieved. I'm sure they feel a little less aggrieved and a little bit more. Just two fingers sticking up to Sargent, going off you pop. We're fine. We're doing fine without you, mate. But it's a case of at the time they'd have been like, that's their leader, sort of. That's a spearhead, abandoning them when they really needed them. But at the moment, Norwich don't look like they need Josh Sargent, and they're getting £20 million for him, which is not a bad deal at all, is it? So No, I suppose I think that might. I don't know if that might be it for Josh Sargent in England. Hopefully not, because I think he's a good player, and I think I think him in a good Premier League side, sort of not Norwich when they were sort of stinking the gaff out bottom of the league. In a good Premier League side, I think he could be a real problem. I think he'd be a real nuisance, a really good player. But yeah, that's a shame how it's ended.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll be interested if he does I don't know whether he'll ever come back to England. I'm not sure, but we'll see. You never know what the future holds. Right, let's move on to some of the other games. So let's go with, which one should we go with next? Okay, then let's go with Watford 2, Derby 0. So I suspect Stephan is happy with this result as well. But yeah, go on then, Stephan. Why are you happy with Watford 2, Derby 0? Ed Still, you'd be loving him right now.
I think he's actually come in and breathed a breath of fresh air into Watford. He's not making outlandish sort of promises that the club can't keep. He said, the one thing I can guarantee until the end of the season is we'll compete. And if we can compete well, we could be in and around the playoffs. And on the evidence of yesterday's performance, wow, we competed and they competed well. Now, is it a new manager bounce? It could be, but we all know that Watford are capable of a performance like this. And the goals were actually quite nice as well. The first goal from Kiermaier, if that's how you pronounce his name, I probably butchered it, but I give it a try.
Didn't do any worse than me, mate.
That was a really nice goal. And I actually thought Derby were quite flat yesterday, considering their position in the league, which is crazy because I remember, 5, 6 games ago, they were nowhere near the playoffs. And that's how tight this league is. Get a couple of wins in your belt and you're there. But I think yesterday, they clearly weren't at the races. Eustace certainly wasn't happy because he says, I don't mind losing, but I don't mind losing if we compete. And yesterday we didn't compete. So on the whole, Watford fans and other fans in the league will be cock-a-hoop. But sadly, Derby fans will feel meh, because it was just a flat performance.
What do you reckon, Annie? Anything to add to that?
No, I think Derby didn't turn up. And that's rare on them for them on an away game, and it's a bit weird because they put in a flat performance once they have sort of their main players back. Carlton Morris is back, and who else? Someone else is back. Can't remember. But yeah, they put in a flat performance like that on the road. So you can excuse it once in a while. It's not the end of the world, is it? So yeah, I think for Eustace and Derby, it's just a case of put that one to bed. Probably one of the worst performances they'll have this season, and just go again. So nothing much to say on it. But Ed Still's had a good start. 2 tough games away at Preston where they could have won, missed some chances, and went ahead in that one as well. And then a very good win against, I think, the best team in the league away from home. So yeah, that's a really good start for Ed Still actually, and he just needs to keep that rolling. And Watford will be in a conversation for one of those playoff places, because as I've maintained, I think pretty much all season, I think they've got the players to do that. Loser, Hieromgaard scored again. She's got back scoring ways. Yeah, scored though. But yeah, that's if you can extract the quality in a good way, why not have Watford in that conversation?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think you're right, Annie. But the question is now, can Ed Still bring stability to Watford? Can he last?
I think that's a
quite
thankless task.
Can I just say, Stephan, I can't believe you've just added the word stability and Watford in the same sentence, unironically.
I know, shock horror, but can he actually be the one to do it? Can he actually be the one to last a lot longer in the managerial hot seat, as it were, compared to hello dog, compared to
Yeah.
all
You
the
just joining
rest
in?
of the Watford managers this season? Because what it's about, between a 4 and 8 month spell in the Watford managerial dugout. So could Ed still, if he keeps playing like this, last longer than anybody else this season?
Let me respond to that with a question. Would you be surprised if Ed Still was not at Watford come May? Because I wouldn't be.
I wouldn't be
It
surprised.
depends
at
how
all.
sustainable this is, but like,
I wouldn't be
this
surprised.
is Watford we're talking about here.
It's only been 2 games as well. Let's just give it a little bit of time. Just give him. I think what Potsos should do, but probably won't, is just give the manager some space to breathe and just let him go. Just let him be for 6 months, 8 months, whatever it is. Just make sure he's got the resources, and I think he's got some good players. Get the best out of them in whatever way. And he speaks well. He looks like he's got his head switched on, and he looks like he's ready to sort of adapt to what he's got with that Watford team. Which the criticism of Javi Gracia was that wasn't the case. He was stubborn and he didn't sort of adapt to what that Watford team have. So if Ed still can bring in some new ideas, make sure that Watford team is performing at its optimum. Again, if Ed still gets Watford in the playoffs, then sure, we can talk about him being sort of a long-term stability, sort of stable manager. But at the moment, it's only been 2 games, 2 tough games, 2 good results. Still only 2 games.
Well, put it this way: even if it doesn't go well, at least he's going to get a nice payoff, probably. So there is always that. So if you're struggling for money, just become a professional football head coach of Watford, and you'll probably get a nice, fat, juicy payoff in no time. But we'll see. Hopefully, for Ed Still's sake, he lasts a lot longer.
Or Nottingham Forest.
Sorry.
Or Forest.
Well, yeah, that would probably be a better example, Premier League terms. But yes, fantastic win for Watford, especially as Annie said. 2 very hard games, Preston away and Derby at home. 4 points. Don't much you can say much about that at the moment. We'll see how sustainable it all is. Let's move to the AKM Stadium. So, again, I've said before, this is a result that doesn't particularly surprise me. Not because Hull, you'd expect to lose to QPR, but probably for that. You would not expect Hull to lose to QPR at home, yet they lose to QPR at home. Annie, what do you make of this? Because I think for QPR, it's a very, very good result. But obviously with Hull, better days than this that they've had.
Hull have had 3 home games in a row, haven't they? And they've not won any of them. And they're starting to ship goals again a little bit. And that is... It's not ideal. Look, I think Hull is still in a good place for a top six spot. And I think they are... let's hope for them it's just a little blip, and they're sort of back to where they were beforehand, which was really, really good form. But yeah, it's a little bit of a concern. Ikovic wasn't happy with the game, and again, you're hoping this is just a case of a little blip. And many teams have had it in around Hull, and just a case of keep pushing and get sort of playoff form, and you stay in there, and you manage to find a way through. But the worst case scenario is there's not a blip, and this is a regression, and this is Hull sort of going back to what they should be, which could be true, which could be wrong, just theory, but a regression to the mean, if you will. And maybe they drag themselves into more of a playoff conversation, and they drag themselves into the mix of and that cluster of teams that are in those sort of conversations for one of those playoff positions, or 2 of those playoff positions, or whatever it is. But yeah, that's a bad result for Hull. Great for QPR, and I said they're very inconsistent, and they are, but they're only 4-5 points off the top 6. Again, a lot of traffic, and I still think
We've said this about
they're-
half the bloody division, haven't we?
yeah. I still think they are probably not going to be good enough over the course of the season. But how weird is it, right? They've beaten Coventry, lost home to Blackburn, and then gone away to Hull and won, like in recent weeks. Typical QPR. Stop being so bloody inconsistent and just
2 words: peak championship.
just isn't it? So yeah, great result for Rangers. Richard Kone's back, and he scored.
Some
scored-
nice goals as well. They scored direct from a corner.
Yeah, the Paddy McNair own goal, wasn't it? So yeah, good win, great win for Rangers. Just about that consistency. If they can find a bit of consistency, even if that does include a couple of draws and then a couple of wins or something like that, that's going to be fine, isn't it, in terms of progressing yourself up the table? Because no one around them is consistent at the moment. If you can find yourself a little bit of form, especially at this point of the season, you're gonna, and everyone else carries on as they are, you're gonna move yourself up the league and put on a nice points tally.
What's the phrase? Basically, that this stage of the season, if you have a good run of form, there's always someone who can get a good form their way into the playoffs.
But Birmingham are doing it, aren't they? Where they're
Birmingham
sort
are
of
the one probably the most likely at the moment. Look at Stephan,
Yeah.
look how grumpy he looks, like going. Oh.
But to be fair, Wrexham have done it. as well.
Yeah,
They've
Wrexham have
done
been
it over the
well,
long term.
we'll
done
let
it over the
Stephan
longer
give
term.
Wrexham their plaudits very, very shortly. There's a couple more games to get through before then. So, Stephan, let's go to you for the next one. So, these 2 games, apart from obviously the 2 for you, 2 for your 2 clubs, I've saved these 2 for last.
Just the one, Michael.
Oh,
I'm
right.
out.
Okay,
I'm not
Stephan,
going.
Swansea 1, Bristol City 0. Then there you go. And he's like, oh no, that's it. I've conveniently lost the connection. Actually, that's what Annie could have done.
Yeah, my laptop's died again, so I'm going to show you. Very funny.
Yeah. Stephan, I'll give you a choice. Which game do you want to talk? Do you want to talk Middlesbrough 0, Oxford 0, or West Brom 0, Coventry 2? Which one do you want to talk about?
I'll go West Brom 0, Coventry 2.
So, follow-up question. Very important win for Coventry and great goal from Jack Radoni.
Yes.
But Eric Ramsey and West Brom, wow.
Eric Ramsey's
Just wow.
time at West Brom, lads, is going to be ending soon. No wins in 9. In fact, I don't think he's had a win since he... There's our new co-host, guys. Since he took over at West Brom, I don't think he's had a win. He's had a couple of draws, but I don't think he's had that.
Was it no
much
win in
of
9 now or
3
something?
points.
Yeah.
Yep, no wins in 9. So I think you could officially say now that Eric Ramsey is a bit like LM, who's now in League 1 with another club. And I think...
And their fans aren't particularly happy with him at the minute either.
that,
Not music to his ears.
that West Brom are going to be making a managerial change very, very soon, because how long can you let this continue? When you think about it, West Brom should be a playoff club at best this season. They're clearly not. In fact, I would go on a limb to say that West Brom should be a Premier League club. And they have been over the years. But once again, take nothing away from Cov. They bounced back on Monday against Middlesbrough rather emphatically, let's just say.
Which was a very, very important win for them as well, yeah.
Yeah, I think for a top 2 class, it was rather one-sided for me. I mean, I watched the game and I thought Coventry were just far superior to Middlesbrough in most areas of the pitch. And they carried that form into yesterday. They scored 2 good goals, although Radoni's goal was by far the better. But tell me, where was the West Brom defence for that second goal?
Yeah, but there was hardly any closing down, really, anything, was there? Just kind of let him... Go on, Jack. you angle up the shot.
exactly.
Oh, crap, it's got in. And we're 2-0 down.
He
Oh,
had
no.
the freedom of the Hawthorns
Pretty much.
and it's a shame to say that West Brom didn't put up much of a fight, but take nothing away from Coventry City on their march to the promised land.
And I would love to see Ant's face at the end of the season if... I don't think Leicester will go down, actually, with Gary Rowett. But if Leicester did go down, then that coincides with Coventry going up. And particularly Forest stayed up. He'd probably go like, oh, I effing hate football. I don't like it anymore. I'll just go and follow cricket or something. But, yeah. And I'd say, which angle do you want to come from first? Because I think it's important for Coventry, but to some extent, taking into account how poor West Brom are. But I think from Coventry's point of view... I'll say something about Coventry. I think given that there was a lot of questions being asked about Coventry in the last few weeks, since the turn of the year, probably really, but they've bounced back, beaten Middlesbrough in a top 2 clash, really important. And regardless of West Brom's form, that isn't Coventry's problem. You've still got to go there and do a job. And Coventry away from home haven't been particularly good of late, so that was still important for them to win, even though West Brom are really on the slide at the moment.
Sorry.
Right, let's move on. Annie clearly agrees.
I can feel that. What was I going to say? It's completely thrown me off guard. Coventry, yeah, that's cracking. That actually, great week. 6 points, nice setup for, and they've had a cracking weekend because Middlesbrough drew, Millwall lost, Ipswich lost,
Hull lost.
Hull lost. That's a cracking weekend. That's perfect, isn't it? That's almost written to a T. That couldn't have gone any better for Coventry. Beating Middlesbrough in the head-to-head, and they've set themselves up nicely, which I was going to say, for that head-to-head against Sheffield United, which is a big game. And Middlesbrough went there and won. Ipswich went there and lost. Can Coventry go there and put a stamp and maybe get a statement of victory? The gap's extended. They are back on top and they're sort of clear a little bit. Can they go and really sort of stretch that gap out, which would be ideal from a Cov perspective? But cracking win for Coventry. Can we talk about West Brom?
Yeah.
They are terrible. Oh my God. I think we've got to a point where seriously one of Leicester or West Brom could get relegated.
Well, that's the thing, because if Charlton keep getting nicking points away, and then Blackburn with Michael O'Neill, and then Portsmouth have got a couple of wins, then you go.
Portsmouth on the same number of points as Norwich, by the way. And we're talking about Norwich.
If we're going to say Norwich aren't going to go down, then we're unlikely to. Then you go, well, all right, fair enough. And bear in mind, Portsmouth have just won back-to-back games away from home as well. You know,
and I'd like third place as well, Millwall at the time.
Which is a great result. Yeah. So you are right. I think there is a genuine prospect one of West Brom or Leicester could go down. Which imagine if someone said that to you at the start of August, that come last quarter of the season, it could be potentially between West Brom and Leicester to get relegated.
Look, I do feel sorry for Eric Ramsey in certain senses. I think he's inherited an absolute stinking mess. He had left. Ryan Mason had left mess. For the West Brom owners to realise that Ryan Mason hadn't worked out, that inexperience hadn't worked out, that everything just hadn't worked out, to then make, and to be fair to Eric Ramsey, he had got a lot more coaching experience over in America with Minnesota United in particular, but just to chuck someone in the deep end in the Championship like that, who had no English football experience really. I think he was in the Swansea sort of academy system, but that's
not the same thing as being a number one, though, is it?
That's nothing in it. So just chuck him in like that from the cold. I feel a little bit sorry, but my God, West Brom, they can't be this bad. They can't be this bad. They are. And I still look at their team and I go, there is quality there. What is Carlin Graham, DK, Hegbo, Callum
Nicky
Stein,
Johnson, Jed Wallace.
Mikey Johnson. There's got quality there. Chris Meffam, Nat Phillips. I mean, these are players on paper. If you put a squad together, you go, that's not bad. They could do potentially finish in the top 6. They can't go down, can they? You're going to quote Mick McCarthy on it, but seriously, surely they can't.
Well, could could it be conceivable that both Leicester and West Brom
No,
down?
I don't think Oxford have enough. Personally,
I think Oxford. I'm going to talk about them in a minute, aren't we?
Yeah.
Anyway,
I will say it'd be
So,
very interesting if that did happen, mind, but I don't think it will.
Well, Leicester and West Brom.
Yeah, but Oxford would have to be
Yeah.
insane for the last 13 games to do it. I think.
Yeah, but just quickly to finish on West Brom.
Yeah.
What an absolute mess, and they've clearly got this appointment wrong. I think the sooner they sort of hit the reset button again, the better, because this is not working.
Do you think they got the? I would argue that West Brom have got everything drastically wrong ever since Carlos Corberán left. Now that's not their fault. He was poached by Valencia. Yeah. But if you look at Tony Mowbray, love the guy, but it clearly didn't work. And then you've got Ryan Mason, really didn't work. And then Eric Ramsey at the minute, which I agree. I think it's not a good situation he's inherited. But like you said, the fact that squad, like with Leicester's as well, anyone competent getting a competent tune out of this squad should have it nowhere near a battle at the bottom. And for it to be that way, something's either gone really wrong behind the scenes, or they're being incredibly mismanaged, or they're half-arsing it. One of the three, in my opinion.
I think they've got the man. I'd agree with that. Ever since Corberán left, they tried a drastic switch of styles in the middle of the season, didn't they? When they were
Corberán and Mowbray, which is two completely opposite.
It's just it's chalk and cheese. And I suppose you could make the argument of, Mowbray, you could somewhat make an argument that's somewhere in the middle of Corberán, and the other extreme wasn't really. West Brom tried to play open football with Carl Bartley as centre-back. It didn't work. That's no good. Carl Bartley, great player. Don't know why I dug him out. But anyway, that didn't work. And then they sort of in the summer, they built a squad, or tried to refine a squad that was going to play Ryan Mason football, or whatever Ryan Mason had sort of promised to play. By the end of his tenure, we didn't know what that football was. Eric Ramsey came in, and he was strong on set pieces and being organised and stuff, and that's not been the case. They've conceded 5 against Norwich. To be fair, a couple of 0-0 draws away at St Andrews is not a bad result. It's actually a cracking result.
No, absolutely.
And home to Stoke, where it was just a bland game, and both teams are struggling at the minute, come for confidence. But since then, it's been so abject. It's been terrible. And yeah, everything West Brom are doing is just going wrong at the minute, and it's hard to see a situation in which Eric Ramsey turns it around, because he's lost the fan base, hasn't he? I think he has. And once you lose the fan base, it is just so difficult, and you've got to really dig yourself in, and you've got to really work 10 times harder to go and turn that around. Prime example, Tom Cleverley at Plymouth this season, who was struggling near the bottom, sort of 15 games in, and I think he'd lost the Argyle fan base, and he's just kept going and turned that around, and he's now got the Argyle fan base back on side. Eric Ramsey's got to do something like that, but West Brom are not showing anything. They're not showing anything, and completely outclassed by Coventry, outplayed, and yeah, absolutely no shock to anyone. And they've got something's got to change there at Albion. Otherwise, they will be getting relegated if we think Leicester are going to improve under Rowett. And who would have thought that? Who would have thought Leicester and West Brom in a relegation battle? Really, in a relegation battle, come game week 34, whatever it is coming up.
Which is the crunch end of the season. None of us would have realistically expected it.
But we're basically about 10 games left, aren't we?
More or less. You're in the last quarter of the season now. So
yeah, this is no longer just a flirtation and then they'll pull off. This is a serious. We're in the deep end here, and better get moving, because everyone else is moving around you. So you better.
Hey, I mean, they both are moving. It's just West Brom's moving.
In the wrong direction.
It's just in the wrong direction. So, but no, being serious though, I'm really worried about West Brom at the minute. And I think, I've said before, that I think it maybe makes you appreciate the job Carlos Corberán did, and the extent of the job that he did. because every appointment since then hasn't worked. So, and I think, although Mowbray, obviously, Mowbray's typical Mowbray, where you play great football, but he forgets about the other end of the pitch, and then you end up losing a fair few games because of it. Even though I do really like Tony Mowbray, obviously, but he's not an appointment for me that will get you promoted anymore, as much a lovely a guy he is. And then the other two since then have just been Ryan Mason and Eric Ramsey have just not worked at all. But from Coventry's point of view, to quickly end it on them, yes, I think it's a hugely important win. I think that's on 65 points now, I think. So
you'd think about another 20, 22 would do it, possibly.
I would say another 25 points is a good target for them to aim for. Even though they might not need it, I think you need to...
I say 2022 just because of the rest of them around them.
No, I agree. I think you've got...
not the standard of last season or the season before that.
I'll rephrase that. I think another 25 would guarantee it for me.
Oh yeah, 25 would do it.
I think you're right. I actually don't think they need to get to 90 points. But I think, get to 85 first as quick as possible and then sort of see. And then if that's enough, great. If it isn't, you've got games to get more. That's the best way to put it. So I think Coventry, there will be tougher games in the yesterday to come. But when you look at the squad on paper, it should have been a tough game, actually. But it obviously wasn't. So, yeah, we'll see how Coventry respond. And we'll see if if everyone else improves them. West Brom, who knows? Who would have imagined that? If you'd said to West Brom fan, okay, Wolves are going to have the season they're going to have in the Premier League. Oh, that's all well and good. We'll play them. Oh, no, you're going down as well. Yeah, I don't think at least Wolves can have that one shining light, I guess. Sliver of a shining light, anyway. But anyway,
the Black Country is just crap.
Pretty much, yeah. And it's never no blacker or bleaker than the Black Country at the moment, if you want to look at it that way. Right, let's move on to the last game for your two games we'll talk about. Middlesbrough 0, Oxford 0. So, Stephan, for you, I think in isolation for Oxford, it's a fantastic point. In isolation, it's brilliant. And it's the same when they went to Coventry and drew. They've obviously got this within them. My concern is don't score enough, haven't turned up enough in the games they've needed to turn up in a win. And obviously from Borough, it's 2 points dropped, even though they've gained a point on Hull and Millwall and Ipswich, which is weird. But yeah, with Oxford first, I think it's starting to get to the point where it might be a bit too late for them, unless something insane happens for them.
Yeah, unless a miracle of all miracles happens, it's too late, I'm afraid, I think.
But then you did say imagine Leicester and West Brom getting relegated, so maybe you're giving Oxford fans hope. Who knows?
Well, maybe I am, but deep down I think we all know that their race is going to be run at the end of the day. And they're 99.99% going to be back in League One. It's not to say over the last season in a bit or however long you've been in the Championship, they have enjoyed it, they've tried things, they've given things a go, but obviously it just hasn't worked. And I think for a team like Oxford and the size of the budget they've got, let's be honest, it's not a Championship level budget, so they're still working off all parameters of a League One budget with no disrespect to them either, but a League One stadium as well. And I think that they've been flirting with this for pretty much ever since we came into the Championship, to be honest. And I think never time is up, but take nothing away from them. Yesterday it was a well-deserved point. I think for Middlesbrough and Middlesbrough fans, they'll feel aggrieved that we've dropped 2 points to Coventry, but we've still got a point, so in a weird way it's not a defeat, but it'll feel like a defeat for them.
It's not, but like I said, I think, and I get Annie's thoughts on this, I don't know if there's anything you want to quickly add on the Oxford conversation, but I think quickly on Middlesbrough, although it's obviously not a good result really for Borough in isolation, they've still gained a point on the teams below them, which is weird. So it's not disastrous, I should say, given the team below them lost.
Yeah, and they could have lost this game as well, because I think Oxford hit the post twice, potentially in this one, or hit the woodwork twice anyway. So, I suppose, in context of everyone else around them losing, apart from Coventry, gaining a point on them is not bad. But yeah, at home to 23rd, you would have wanted to go and win that game and win it with a little bit of ease as well. But that didn't happen. But yeah, I'd agree on the Oxford conversation. 5 points from safety. There's not winning enough games, and again, flip side that they hit the post twice, could have scored, but they're not scoring enough goals. And it's 4-0 since Bat Bloomfield's come in. 2 at home against mid-table sides. And to be fair, the other 2, very impressive. Away to Coventry, away to Middlesbrough, top 2, and getting a point, kept a clean sheet. Very, very impressive, but only 1 win in his tenure so far. I think it's 1 win in 8 for Matt Bloomfield. So it's 9 points. I think it's 9 points in 10. So what I've just said about 8 games is wrong. But I think it's 1 point below. It's 1 point below a point per game. What it should be for a point per game for Bloomfield. And it's just not enough at the moment, is it? Especially with the runs everyone else we've talked about having. Blackburn, 9 points in 4 games. Obviously, Charlton pick up the odd points here and there and winning, relatively often at the Valley. And then you have Pompey, Norwich. The only 2 at the moment that are sort of keeping them anywhere near it are West Brom and Leicester, who are just stinking the gaff out. And even them, they're picking up points, the odd points. Maybe less so West Brom, but both of them are somewhat picking up the odd points here and there. And yeah, Oxford, they're just struggling to sort of keep up. And I wouldn't say they're 99.9% of the way there, but I do struggle to see a world where they are really in the conversation to stay up. And yeah, 5 points. 5 points doesn't feel like a lot, but when you're already the underdog in a situation like this, you haven't got the squad quality that Leicester and West Brom do, let's be honest, and you're chasing their tails, it's going to be 10 times harder. So I feel sympathy for Oxford, but I think it's going to be really, really difficult. I don't see a world where they stay up. I think they're not as good. They're not as good as gone. I really don't think that. I don't. They could. But if they go and win 3 out of the next 4 games and just suddenly turn it around and win a couple of games at the Kassam, who's going to be shocked? No one, right? But I just can't.
Oxford fans maybe, but other fans, no, probably not.
But I just can't see it at the moment.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that the problem they've got is the teams that they're chasing. Well, Leicester and West Brom, whatever the state, particularly of West Brom at the minute, they've got squads much better levels than what Oxford can. And that's not disrespect to them. Like Stephan said, really, I think their budget's kind of a League One budget. I would probably argue aspects of their squad are probably League One, if not their squads in general, a League One squad. Obviously, it doesn't mean you can't succeed. You can do with the right recruitment, the right management. But I think comparative, certainly to Leicester and West Brom, they just haven't got the tools, I don't think.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I think they've got some good players like Jamie Donnelly, Jamie McDonnell, Cameron Brannigan, Brian De Keersmacher. There's some good Michael Hellick, Jamie Cumming. They're really good players, aren't they? But it's just lack of quality going forward. And in tight moments in games, are they going to go and nick it and going to go and win the game? I remember in the 0-0 draw they had against us, and that's the only Oxford. I've watched 2 Oxford games this season, both have been against us, right? Or from what I remember anyway. And in that 0-0 draw they had against us, and first game in Bloomfield, they had the chance to go and win that game, and at 0-0, and they just don't take moments in games. And it's same here where they hit the woodwork twice. It's just that little moments going forward, that little bit of quality that other teams in and around them will have, other teams they play will have, and Oxford are just not showing at the minute. So, look, I have sympathy for Matt Bloomfield, but again, I'll reiterate, I don't think that they're going to be staying up.
No, I don't either. Right, let's move on. Let's move on to the last 2. I suspect Annie will probably want to.
Last one, Stephan.
Yeah, all right then. Last one. So we have Swansea 1, Bristol City 0 coming up now. We'll skip Wrexham 5, Ipswich 3 now, Joy. Right, go on, Stephan, as I know you're probably dying to talk about this. That's twice you've beaten Ipswich now in the space of 8 days. So, but I suspect this win is the more important of the 2. Talk us through Wrexham 5, Ipswich 3, which I suspect will be one of the games of the season.
What a game. And what goals as well. Kiefer Moore played out his skin, scoring that.
No, joking aside, he's a really, really good forward. I really like Kiefer Moore at this level.
Scoring that goal from such
That first goal.
a tight angle. Oh, what a hit and what a finish. I'll try and be as quick as I can because it was a really great game. Josh Windass, superb. Callum Doyle, superb with his head, which was a great surprise. After potentially getting knocked out, he got up and he converted the corner with his head. All credit to Ipswich. They came back at us with some nice playing. They deserved their two goals. In fact, when we equalised, I thought, oh no, this is going to be it. Ipswich are going to overrun us, but they didn't overrun us. And to cut a long story short, Nathan Broadhead even scored against his old employers and controversially celebrated the goal, which now normally if you move from said club and you're playing against said club, you would just go, nah, not celebrating. But controversially, Nathan Broadhead celebrated the goal like he just got a place in the World Cup squad or something like that. And that win was vital because it put us back into the top six. 2 points ahead of our rivals just behind us in Birmingham City. But I do think that Ipswich will be absolutely fine. They'll bounce back on Tuesday or Wednesday, whenever it is. We'll take a look at the fixtures after we've done the table because there is a midweek round. We've got Portsmouth at the Stock Highlands now. I know we were saying about Portsmouth and their sort of resurgence to get themselves out of the relegation zone, but I'm sorry, that stops temporarily on Tuesday.
Can I just say, by the way, you also gave Annie the big one last week ahead of your game at Bristol City, and
I did.
Karma did kind of come back to bite you in the end.
Notice how I didn't bite, by the way. Not once. Not once.
No, but to be fair, you kind of did at the end, but you were justified in it.
Yeah, I mean, that was after the game. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. Well, exactly. That's what I mean. That's why I said you were justified. So, Stephan, I think it's a case of don't shoot your mouth off too much beforehand.
I have to say, by the way, what a goal from Bird on Tuesday night. That goal from your Bristol City guy, and he was just,
weak foot as well.
No one was stopping that. If that was his weaker foot, I hate to see his strong foot because that was placed with a plum. It was hit with a plum. I think to give a Conco some defence if I can, I don't think he was expecting the shot to come at him from that far out. I certainly wasn't. I know it was about 5 or 6 paces off his line, but you kind of expect, okay, I've got my defence in front of me. Sure, we're going to close this down, but I'm sorry, there was no closing that down. That was just absolutely superb, and well done on getting a point, because if you didn't get a point, I would have been cock-a-hoop, as you know. In fact, I was. But then that goal was just absolutely super. And I think Bristol were full value for that, to be honest.
Well, okay then. But I think to follow that point up at Ashton Gate, by beating Ipswich, again, year one parachute team, a team expected to be challenging for top 2, or at the very least to be comfortable in the playoffs. I think that does take some doing, to be fair. And obviously, you're doing it in a way you've only just won an 8-goal thriller. Sounds very boring, to be fair.
Well,
I can imagine your emotions have ranged quite a lot from the game, going get lost, Ipswich, get in all over again.
Yeah, it was pretty much like that. What was I doing? Oh yeah, I was doing a DJ set at the time, and I had it on the TV next to me. And when we scored first, I was like, okay, we scored, it's fine, we're off and running. Wrexham always scores anyway. And then when Ipswich came back at us, I thought, oh no, we're going to want to get revenge for what happened in the cup last week. And I thought once they came back into the game, I thought we were going to steamroll us, to be perfectly honest. And I was fully expecting Ipswich to go away with at least 3 points, if not a point. But it happened again. The good old surprise of Wrexham happened again, and what could have been a squeaky bum team situation was actually quite comfortable in the end with those 2 goals towards the end of the game.
Tell you what, I wanted to mention about when you said Callum Doyle in particular, superb, and I'm like, that's the boy. I love Callum Doyle. It's lovely. It's good to see that he's actually got somewhere where he's settled now and not going on the dog price to press the remote. Go somewhere where he's settled on a permanent basis.
He could have been knocked out, because that was quite a serious done he took. And for him to get up and be able to continue, and then the corner came in, and for him to score it, I think it rounded his day off, personally, because he's not got many goals this season, but the goals he has got are important goals. But I think Ipswich are going to be fine. They'll bounce back midweek, and they'll get a victory.
Annie, what do you reckon of this from an Ipswich point of view? Well, I suppose and from a Wrexham one, if you so choose.
Ipswich 11 points off Coventry, I want to say.
I think so.
So, yeah, and their away form is still sort of iffy. I know they won at Derby, which is a good result, but...
Didn't we say this month was crucial for them? Because they didn't have a lot of away games in February.
Yeah.
Yeah, 11 points behind lads, yeah.
The one at Pompey did get called off, but look, I still think Ipswich aren't sort of firing all the cylinders, and I still think that. I don't know. I quite honestly don't think we should expect them. I think I've said this before. I don't think we should expect them to sort of click magically and just sort of be this free-flowing football team that we came to expect of a Kieran McKenna side 2 years ago. I just don't think they're going to be that. And I think they're very well might be in a playoff position. Say that 5 times. But
it's the difference in way teams set up against them now, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
The picture's different.
Yeah. Losing Nunes has obviously not been ideal. I know they replaced him with Mehmeti, who scored yesterday and is also a very capable player, but losing Nunes in a run like that, not ideal. Yeah, and I think just generally they've been very unconvincing, Ipswich, pretty much all season. And yeah, 5 goals is just horrible as well. So, look, I think overall results for them, not terrible. I know Coventry won, but Middlesbrough only gained a point on them, could have been more. But
and to be fair, Middlesbrough on paper had a much more straightforward game than Ipswich did.
And Ipswich have got to play Borough at Portman Road. I think.
Yeah, that's
next month. I think it's next month. Either that or April. But yeah, this is a terrible result for Ipswich, and they need. I honestly don't know what Ipswich need. at this point because they can't magically stop teams from playing low blocks against them and sitting in. And I know Wrexham didn't do it, but Wrexham have got some serious quality going forward. But I don't know what. I don't know. I think Ipswich might well be in a playoff position.
And it was also nice, and I know, Annie, you're probably going to hate me for this, but it was nice to see Zach Viner get some minutes on the pitch yesterday as well, because I know he's been out with injuries, you've been saying, Annie, for quite a number of weeks. So it was nice to see him, even though we didn't see too much of him. I think for somebody coming in who's been injured, just getting that run out and that feel for his new club and his new place will be like a confidence boost for him as well.
Ironic that Viner on the pitch, and
I have a feeling Annie would probably hate that.
And Mehmeti scoring as well. Shock, absolute shock.
Yep, Stephan, I think you were right. Annie certainly did hate sort of thinking about that, and it's time to make him.
I hate Bristol City for it. I don't hate them.
Well, I was going to say you hated talking about them, probably obviously with how they've done since leaving Bristol City, and you're probably going to hate me even more now for having to make you go through Swansea 1, Bristol City 0. So
we're crap, they're crap, it's all crap, my life's crap. End of story. Thank you very much.
One of the shortest football.
Don't say how you really feel, Annie Harris. Go on.
All right, okay. If how I really feel, all right. God. We didn't play terribly. I'm fully now in a stage of mid-table again, 12th place again. It's like whatever it is. We're only a few points off 16th or something. It is. I'm not bothered. It's 4 points up the playoffs. I don't know how it's not more. I don't think we're consistent. It's 11 points in 10 games. 11 points in 10 games. That's how bad we've been recently. And that has been pretty much since the New Year. I think that's one game before the end of the year. We have been terrible for a little while now. Not shocked, really not. This has come as a result of mismanagement from the top, really. Fanning about in the transfer window with Delano Bergzorg or a forward of any sort, just pissing about with it and not doing it. This football club irritates me. It annoys me, and it's come back to bite us seriously. And yeah, we've lost January because of the whole thing. I finally mentioned something yesterday that I had been feeling for a while on my Twitter account, and to be fair, I didn't get absolutely bashed for it.
Is it Gerald Struber related by any chance?
Yeah, it is, and you're absolutely right, Michael.
I thought it would be.
Look, I think Gerhard Struber is a man with a clear idea in his head of how he wants to play. I am not seeing it. I'm not seeing it. I'm struggling, honestly, into seeing what Struber ball looks like, because we sometimes press well. We sometimes score or create good counter-attacking transition moments. We don't do it anywhere near enough. And when we're not doing it, we just don't know what we're doing. I don't know. Yesterday was a real lack of firepower going forward. And I saw people saying we had the chances to go and win it. We were crap going forward. Like, we were terrible, toothless, completely toothless. And considering we were 1-0 down for the majority of the game, that was terrible going forward, mind. Defensively, first half, way too open. And the goal is just it genuinely is one of the most predictable things. As soon as Gustavo Nunes had the ball on the left-hand side and just put the ball in the back post, I could tell. I could tell I could give it to you on a silver platter what was going to happen. Someone's going to win a header at the back post. Atkinson's going to lose his man in the middle. Vipotnik, top scorer in the division, gets a free 18-yard box, and he just finishes it past Vite first time. Neto Borges loses his man at the back post, or loses the header at the back post, and was a terrible bit of defending. And yeah, shock. We go and concede, and we barely look like we were going to score after that. Emil Rees hits the post from a cross-come shot, but apart from that, he was a bit non-existent. Delano Bergsorg had a shot save, but again, apart from that, bit of nothingness all game. I'm struggling with this team. I think the squad's good. Obviously losing Mehmeti and Vine are not ideal, but Isla made his first start yesterday, or however you want to say his name. Looked okay. Tommy Horvat looks like a good signing, but I'm struggling. I don't see us. Okay, we're only top 4 points on the top 6. Yeah, yippee, whoopity do, but we're nowhere near it. Standard wise, we are miles off it. Off it.
Okay, Andy, then let me ask you a question. Let's just say, jump forward 12 to 18 months. Now, we're talking hypothetically here. If Struber was to get booted out the door or out the managerial hot seat, who would you like to see come in as manager for Bristol? And ideally, where do you think you could finish if you had a new manager? I know it's a tough question.
Lots got to happen for Gerhard Struber to not be in post. I think the most likely situation...
Hypothetically speaking.
Hypothetically, okay, I don't know, because this summer... I think this summer is going to be huge because we have another host of players that are going into this summer with their contracts running out. Obviously, Vine and Mehmeti, who had their contracts running out, they're out the door. Mark Sykes has got his contract running out. And then we go into the summer. Jason Knight's out of contract summer after. So is Ross McCrory. Gonna have to make decisions on them. I don't see Struber going anytime soon, to be honest, but I'm also unconvinced by what I'm seeing at the moment. That is not me saying in the slightest I want Gerhard Struber sacked. That's far from it. There are problems at the football club that are bigger than Gerhard Struber in terms of hierarchy. I think problems stem from the likes of the board, and there are clear issues there, and ownership and stuff like that. I think there are issues, and I think there are problems, but no, I don't want Struber to go. I really, really don't. I think he can prove himself to be a good manager. I mean, we saw it at Barnsley, didn't we? Attacking team, high press, get on the front foot, play some good football, but I'm not seeing that. This is just a passive Bristol City team. I'm seeing most weeks a team that's pedestrian, that's slow out the blocks, has to go 1-0 down to react. It's not a Gerhard Struber team. I'm sure he doesn't want us to play this way. We're playing this way, and it's annoying me, and it's frustrating me, and it's getting me angry, really, because I think this is a good squad. I think this squad is capable of finishing in the top 6. Shoot me. I think it is. I think it really is. We did it last season, and I think this squad, up until January, was probably better than what we had last season. And I know other teams around us had better squads as well, probably more better in comparison, but I'm annoyed. I really, really am. And it just feels like we've wasted this season because of mismanagement in January in particular, where, again, just pissing about for a month, and then deciding to sell Mehmeti, then deciding to sell Viner, and then I'm lost. I really am. And I can't quite believe we're 12th, and just staring into another season of doing nothing, which is what we are. And again, I'll hear people saying, "Oh, you're only 4 points to the top 6, this and that." League table is just another bit of data. to look at. It's not the be all and end all at all. It's just it can help you in arguments, but it's not the be all and end all. What I'm seeing with my eye test is a team that is, I'll be honest, I don't know what this team's trying to play, what sort of football's trying to play. And even though, yes, as Michael decides to go in
just
dark,
ignore the fact. I'll just get some light on. Keep going.
Even though I do think there is serious problems at the football club, that is not Gerhard Struber, I also think there is a squad there that is capable of producing more than it is right now. And that's where I'm a little bit sort of at crossroads in terms of it's not obviously on not all of it was on Struber, but he doesn't just get a pass because this is largely down to.
Well, I was going to ask you, what's that down to then? So is it down to Gerhard Struber to take some of the criticism, but the main area of concern is at board level?
Yes, because this is not just Struber, by the way. This is Manning left because of a lack of ambition. Nigel Pearson was pushed out the door because he spoke out against the ownership for activities. This is the two managers that have followed him have been the exact same thing, right? So there's not just a Struber problem, and Struber was very clear in his press conferences pretty much through January, where he said, "Need a striker, we want a striker, want a striker," and we took until pretty much a few days before the deadline day to go and get one. And it was the same one we'd been chasing pretty much all summer, not all summer, all January, and we managed to get it. Look, I just think this football club needs a little bit of a pause and a think of we're trying to get to the Premier League here. Is this really the way we're going to do it? No, it's not. So does this need a little bit of a refresh? Does it need a little bit of a cleanse? Does it need a bit of new personnel coming in? Tom Rawcliffe left in during midweek, who was an influential figure down right near the top. He'd have he was COO. I think he was CEO after that. I can't remember exactly what his role was, but sort of a pretty integral part of the football club. And what we're hearing is he had they sort of he had a pretty big influence on the footballing side of things at Bristol City, right? So that's another thing we're gonna have to deal with, him leaving, and it just feels like a huge summer ahead. What we do in the summer, I think, will be telling in terms of where does this ownership stand in terms of the ambition and what they want to do with Bristol City Football Club going forward. Because I'm 99.99999% sure we'll be in the Championship again next season. And I just think, does this need a hard reset from pretty much all directions? And yeah, it just feels like a wasted opportunity, to be honest. But in backing the board, playing maybe devil's advocate, I also think this squad, what we have right now, has got some really, really good Championship players, and we're seeing nothing, and I'm seeing nothing. And I don't know what to tell you guys, but I'm not seeing a clear style of play. I'm seeing sporadic sort of good performances. I'm seeing a massively inconsistent side. I'm seeing a side which home form has dropped off drastically. I'm seeing a side that's not confident. I'm seeing a side that's toothless going forward, and I'm seeing a side that's way too open defensively. Pretty much everything's going wrong. But no, I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling Bristol City at the minute, and I'm sort of feeling a little bit down in the dumps because, all the things I've said before.
So apart from that, life's great.
Apart from that, we're going up, boys. Everyone's
absolutely. All right, then. Yeah,
again,
we'll wait and see. Yeah, next season we'll have a Wrexham versus Bristol City Championship playoff final. Imagine the scenes in the group chat for that. Just a flash forward 15 months or so. But yeah, that is pretty much it. We've gone through all the games. So, and obviously we've got two rounds of the Sky Bet Championship coming up this week by the time we've next go live on air. So, if you're able to get the table up, Stephan, that'd be great. But no, oh wow. He's actually doing it quite quickly. Fair play to him. So let's go through them very quickly. So obviously Coventry, of course, are first in with 65 points. 3 points behind them with 62 is Middlesbrough in second. Then with 56, 54, 54 and 51 points in order is Millwall, Ipswich, Hull and Wrexham in the playoffs. The top half consists of Birmingham, Derby, Watford, Preston, Southampton and Bristol City. Then, of course, getting into the bottom half, you have Queen's Park Rangers, followed by Sheffield United. Then with Stoke, Swansea, Charlton and Norwich. The 3 teams just above the relegation zone are Portsmouth, Blackburn and... I can't believe I'm saying this. West Bromwich Albion. Then you have Leicester City in 22nd. And then, of course, Oxford in 23rd. And then, of course, obviously, sadly for Sheffield Wednesday, their relegation to Sky Bet League One was confirmed today. So hopefully they'll have a brighter future for them from their point of view and then no one that cares about them. But yes, thanks very much, Stephan, for sort of getting the table up for us. That was much, much appreciated. If we'll quickly look at the midweek fixtures. Let's skip through Champions League because there's a certain club I don't really want to pay too much attention to. Yeah, let's get past them. There we go. Right, so we have Blackburn Rovers. So in midweek we have Blackburn Rovers, Bristol City, Hull City versus Derby County. I can see by Andy's face what he thinks of that. Middlesbrough versus Leicester City. Swansea City host Preston. Ipswich go to Watford. West Brom Charlton, which feels a significant game for Eric Ramsey. I suspect he could be gone if he doesn't win that. Wrexham, of course, host Portsmouth, so announced 2-0 Portsmouth probably. Southampton, of course, hosting Queen's Park Rangers at St Mary's. Then on Wednesday night, I believe one of the games will be Sheffield United versus Coventry, which I believe is on TV, but I could be wrong. But yeah, one of the games will be Sheffield United versus Coventry at Bramall Lane. We have Stoke City versus Oxford United at 8 o'clock. That'll be the championship TV game. Norwich City against now recently relegated Sheffield Wednesday, and Millwall against Birmingham City. And that's going to be the midweek fixtures. And then obviously I'm sure Carl will go through the games on the Saturday show next week. But Stephan, Andy, thank you both very much for joining me and talking through another round of one of the craziest divisions, I'm convinced, in world football in the Sky Bet Championship. Stephan, any final thoughts before we head off?
It's going to be another exciting week come midweek, and we'll be discussing it all next week. So
Absolutely,
it'll be a bumper-packed show next weekend, folks, so tune in.
Fair enough. And remember, a lesson for Stephan Tate, if he shoots his mouth off, Wrexham probably won't win. So now it's Portsmouth fans, if any one of you are watching, hopefully shoots his mouth off and we'll see if it has egg on his face. Any final things to say before we go off? So no. All right then. Thanks very much to everyone who has watched. Take care. And of course, we wish you the best of luck this week, whichever team's playing who. And we will see you next week.
Unless you're a Blackburn fan.
No. Up the Carabag, even though they're not turning that around. Yeah, I think that's enough to end it. Okay. Thanks to everyone who has watched. We'll see you next weekend.